All right. I love Google Sheets. I've used Google Apps for 10 plus years, and I just wanted to show you some of the skills I picked up along the way and what you can do with it and the different exciting things that can be done. So, jumping right in here, I think that one of the most powerful and productive features in Google Sheets or in spreadsheets in general are functions. So what are functions? You may have experienced them in math classes. They take inputs and they produce a certain output. That's a very simplified explanation. So for example, they can take words, numbers, and other inputs and then produce different outputs as a result of performing some calculation. So a very simple example is the sum function. The sum of 1, 2, and 3 would be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which would equal 6. So you would enter equals sum and then value 1, value 2, value 3. And it shows you the result at the top there and shows you that it will equal 6. So that's a very simple example. When you're typing these functions, you'll see helper text down here once you start the parentheses. And if you click the caret or press F1, you'll see that example. So in here, this is called documentation. You'll see the kinds of inputs you can have. So you can have cell references, range references. So a cell is a specific location in the spreadsheet. So for example, A2 to A100 in this example would be A2 to A100. Okay, so if I enter again into here, you'll see that the about statement says that this returns the sum of a series of numbers and or cells. And so the values need to be numbers. For example, if you were to say equals sum, you might think that you could say sun and flower would equal sunflower, right? But because these are not numbers, you'll get an error, and it'll say the sum parameter 1 expects number values, but sun is a text and cannot be coerced to a number. There's no way to ascertain how you would represent a word as a number in this case, so that's why it was throwing this error. Parameter 1 means the first parameter before the first comma inside of the parentheses. So that gives you a sense of what you can do and also how to interpret errors. So sum of 1 and 2 equals 3, but you can also do any number of inputs. And that's what's really nice because it automatically updates as you change the inputs. So if we were to, instead of putting actual raw numbers here, one of the things we can do is, if we have other numbers throughout the spreadsheet, we can just reference that range. That way, and I'm just highlighting these right here. That way, if these numbers change in column L, the resulting sum will change automatically. So that's one of the ways that, that's one of the ways that functions are really powerful, because as your data changes, it will update automatically. Another nice thing about functions is that if you have numbers column-wise, that is across columns, and I'll just come up with some numbers here. So let's say you have, and I'll use a function for this actually, it's rand, or rand between. Let's do a random number between 1 and 100. I will put that in, and each time this, one particular quirk about this function is that each time it runs, it changes other cells as well. So I'm just gonna press Shift right arrow to highlight all this, and then you can either click and drag this, or you can hit Command C and Command V, or Control C and Control V on a Mac. And then the reason why I did all this was because, and what I'm going to do also is I'm going to highlight all of these, including the ones that we're using the rand between function, and I'm going to click or press Command C, Command Shift V, which is going to lock those values in place. And that's because if rand between were still there, anytime these change, it'll still change that number. So I'm just replacing the results of that function with, I'm replacing the function with the results of the function. So rand between 1 and 100 right now is 78 in this cell. If I copy that and paste values only, which is what Command Shift V is, I get the number 78. If you look here, it's no longer the function, it's the results of the function as it was the last time that it was run. So that kind of freezes it in place. But if I update this, and let's say we're doing, let's call this number 1 and number 2, then we can do sum of number 1 and number 2 as our third column, and we will do equals. You can use the sum function, or you can use regular arithmetic. So you could say L20 plus M20, and if you press Command Enter, you can autofill all the way down. So as these change, these will update dynamically. So you can either do cell plus cell, or you can do equals sum, parentheses, and then do a range. So the difference between a range and multiple cell references is that a range captures everything across columns or rows with this colon syntax here, and of course it results in the same thing. So what I did was Command C, Command Shift down arrow, and then Command V to get all of those formulas in the right place, or using the formula from the top and dragging it down, which you can do the same way by clicking and dragging this. But one of the nice things about using the sum function is that you can use a range of locations. If you just use the arithmetic one, and we say equals this plus this, right? That's going to result in the same thing, but the choice of this plus this as opposed to this range across is kind of personal preference, but also one of the positives of using a range is that if you needed to change that range around, you could just use the arrow keys and this will be the sum of everything, right? But if you were doing this, you would have to do that and then type plus and then that and then type plus and then that and type plus and so on. So it's a lot more manual. The sum function is helpful in that way because it's ready to receive any number of values in multiple formats, not just a plus b plus c, but rather a range, which is L to M, row 20 to row 37 in this case. So let's say you wanted to come up with the sums of these numbers, but without the formulas. You might open a calculator and you might manually say 1 plus 23 and then type in 24 and continue down the line and so on. But we don't want to do that. We want to use the tools we have available to get the desired outcome more quickly. So that's really one of the main reasons. The other important reason is that, one of the ways that functions can save us time is that under the hood, underneath, there's code that knows how to handle the inputs appropriately, because that operation needs to be done over and over. So it becomes something that is kind of like routine, right? So we know that typing a couple numbers into a calculator or a string of numbers, right? Like +6, +3, +2. These operations are pretty basic and repetitive, so we want to use functions to do some of that work for us, because we know how that work should be carried out and what the outcome should be. So I'm going to clear this now and we'll go to another example. Let's say, and this is just another arithmetic example, let's say you run a flower shop and you have a spreadsheet of flower names, gross prices, and discounts. The net price would then be gross plus discount, or gross minus discount, or gross plus discount. So because the discount is negative, we can do plus. So let's do equals. And you can again either do sum of that, or you can do this plus this. There aren't that many rows here, so we could do that plus that, or sum. And then I'm going to Command C, down arrow, drag it down. So this is 12 minus 350 is 850, $8 minus 125 is 675, and so on. So that's a quick way to get more information, more data out of other data that you have. So from gross price and discount, you now have another variable, which is net price. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot about functions today as the basic building block of achieving more productivity and organization in Google Sheets and spreadsheet software in general. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be going over a lot more functionality and concepts and skills you can get to build more and more things in Google Sheets and Google Apps in general. All right, thank you.